So, hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of Jonnychipz Weekly. My name is John Lunn, aka Jonnychipz, and this is episode number 67 on Friday, the 8th of April, 2022. This is called Study Time. Let's jump on in. So, hi everybody, hope you're all doing well. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Jonnychipz Weekly. More of the same this week. I think it's been quite a whirlwind of a week for me this week, with lots of cert prep and cert taking and exam taking and things like that. But lots going on in the community as well. So, without further ado, let's jump on in and see what's been going on this week. Okay, so first up on the community call-out is Mr. Dwayne Natwick. He has got his call for speakers open for Azure Back to School. It's the event Dwayne has organised for the last few years around September time. So Sessionize is open. If you want to submit some content to that, he's got his link up there to the Sessionize page. Go and follow Dwayne on the Twitters, Dwayne N. Cloud. Sign up if you've got something to say, if you're new into the wonderful world of community, you're looking for an event to speak at, a blog article, a video. I think that's what normally a back to school is all around. Go and sign up, put something forward, go and have a chat with Dwayne. But just want to put a bit of a spotlight onto that event. Like I said, it's starting in September, but call for speakers is open now. In other news, more security exams have been released into beta by Microsoft. So there's actually now this SC100 exam, which is the Microsoft Cyber Security Architect. That's out in beta. You can go and sign up as of yesterday. And I'm not sure if this link still works, but I retweeted this out yesterday. If you use the code SC100ARCH, you can get an 80% discount code, but I think that's only for the first 300 people that use that code. So if you're interested, looks like a cool exam. It's an expert level exam as well, so it'll get you the expert level in cybersecurity. So that's quite a cool exam to go and sit, and it covers the whole plethora of security from a Microsoft viewpoint. So go and get signed up if you're interested. In other news, Steph Rogers retweeted this out yesterday, the day before, and I actually watched this video. It's from Alex Karim, who's the metaverse lead at Microsoft, and he's given a talk. It's only a 20-25 minute talk, really around what metaverse means from a Microsoft viewpoint and what they're trying to achieve with things like mesh. Looking at things like mixed reality and that kind of you not necessarily just using HoloLens, but trying to make mesh and 3D interactions with the world around us accessible over multiple devices, whether that's a HoloLens or whether it's another VR headset or a phone, mobile, tablet, PC, anything like that. It's really about trying to bring that 3D world and IoT and sensor data in and around us. So go and watch that. Like I said, I retweeted this out, or go and follow Steph Rogers, Regal Rogers, on Twitter, and go and get that link. But it was a really great session, kind of brought it all to reality, really, about what Microsoft are trying to achieve in that space. So really excited to kind of see what movements happen with mesh and other technologies, and hoping that I can kind of get involved somehow along the way. Okie dokie. Yes, Stephen Simon had one of his shows on yesterday with the wonderful Maria Anastasia. Go and check that out. I've had a quick watch of the video, and it's great. I mean, Maria Anastasia is always great content anyway, to help people understand the wonderful world of Azure IoT. And I know she went through a few bits and pieces how you can get started with IoT, but go and check it out. Simon hosts a great show on YouTube, and he does these videos on a fairly regular basis. So go and head on over and show some support. Code with Simon on Twitter, and of course don't forget to go and follow the wonderful Maria Anastasia as well. So great show, guys. Thanks for that, and I'll see you soon. In other news, community group news. Yes, Charlie Goff's tweeted now the Microsoft Cloud Security User Group have got some swag. So stickers, coasters, looking forward to meeting up with the guys in person at some point so I can get myself some of this swag. But yeah, it's great to see that the user group's taken off. It's been a success from its first couple of shows. Well done, guys. Keep up the great work, and everybody watching, go and follow the MSCSUG on Twitter, and of course Charlie. Other new user group news: the Azure user group in Sweden have got merch as well. I think I'm going to have to up my game with the Welsh Azure stuff, but they got some. I'm going to have to hit them up now to find out where these came from, because they look quite neat. Look at those key rings. They look quite quality. So yeah, need to up my game. So yeah, go and show some support to the Azure User Group Sweden. I know it's been run fantastically well. They have some great guest speakers on there, some great shows and content that's been given out to us in the community. So go and show some support. AVD News, Tom Hicklin has reminded us that from the 18th of April, if you are still using the old URLs to access your AVD environment, don't forget that they are being updated as of the 18th of April. So go and follow Tom. There's a blog article there if you want to go and read it. Tom Hickling on Twitter. But yeah, if you are doing that, so I mean, whether you've got you may have some filtering rules or things like that from your organization that allows access to these URLs, we don't know. But if you are restricting or got things coded in to allow users to access your AVD environment, you might want to think about getting that updated ASAP. So yeah, thanks for that, Tom. Shout out to the cloud management community. They've hit over 3,000 subscribers on their YouTube channel, which is fantastic. They've been doing some absolute brilliant videos over the last couple of years now, effectively, and they've grown this channel to something really good. And they've hit over 3,000 subscribers. So go and give them some love at @the_CM community on Twitter, and go and hunt them down on YouTube, and go and subscribe, of course. In more news from April Edwards, they have kind of rebranded their YouTube channel to DevOps is for Everyone. So it was great. It's great to see all the wonderful work that April is doing with the DevOps Lab. But basically now they've kind of had a rebrand in terms of what that channel is going to be covering, and effectively it's this whole ethos of DevOps isn't just for devs or people that like to code or whatever it may be. It actually is for everybody. There are ways that we can use DevOps to automate lots of those daily tasks, and that's essentially what this channel with April is trying to kind of inspire others to kind of get on board with, in terms of using DevOps as a methodology to make sure that we're doing things in that fail fast mentality, but equally in that sense that we can automate those mundane processes, whether that be deploying infrastructure or configuration or whatever, updated software. Go and follow, go and hunt them down on YouTube, and go and give them a subscribe, and alternatively, obviously, follow at the April Edwards on Twitter, and show some support. More news, Jack Tracy. Yeah, I mean, I was hoping to have a catch-up with Jack. Unfortunately, he's come down ill, as I'm just getting over at the moment. There's a lot of it going around, so I'm hoping to catch up with Jack over the next few weeks. Not necessarily about this specifically, but around the bicep modules for deploying landing zones. But they've got their community call going out on the 2nd of May. Now, I'd encourage you, if you are into infrastructure, you are looking to deploy landing zones into Azure, go and sign up for this. They've got I don't know if it's a weekly or it's a monthly, I'm assuming, call. This is their 3rd call on the 2nd of May, 4:30 UK time. Go and sign up to it, aka.ms/ALZ/community call, and get involved. It's always great stuff from Jack and the team there. So thanks, Jack. Next, Octopus Deploy. I mean, I've been meaning to look at Octopus Deploy for so long now. Since it was first brought to my attention. Well, back a couple of years ago. So I mean, in terms of actually deploying in a controlled and automated and secured and I guess in a way that you're not going to be putting yourself into any kind of unknown situations when you're deploying infrastructure or whatever it is that you're looking to deploy into any cloud platform. This great session here with Pete and Sarah. I've not managed to watch it yet, but clearly they've been putting in some great efforts to show how Octopus deploys can actually, you can get started with it with deploying stuff into Amazon. So looking forward to giving that a watch. Go and give them a follow, like and a subscribe if you can. It's going to be some great stuff coming from the team over there at Octopus Deploy. I'm pretty sure of that. Other user group news. The Northern Azure user group had I don't know if this was their first hybrid. Yeah, it was their first in person. So they actually did a hybrid event. So I know what that was like doing that with the Welsh Azure user group. There's lots of planning and prep work that goes into it, but it looked like a roaring success. Great work to the guys and gals of the Northern Azure user group. Just wanted to call that out, that it's great to see that user groups are able to get back to that face-to-face meetup scenario, but equally still keep that platform in place for hybrid events, so you can join remotely as well if you need to. So go and give them some love and support at Northern Azure UG on Twitter. And yeah, thanks to the team for that. Resharb tweeted this out the other day, really around Resharb and GPS are looking to get a study group up and running. If you're looking to study towards that networking specialism or associate level exam, AZ 700, they've actually got a Discord server set up. They're setting up a study group really to help each other learn the concepts of networking that you need to go and successfully pass that AZ 700 exam. So if you're interested, follow Resharb on Twitter, go and sign up to the Discord server and get involved. Next up, the Microsoft 365 Security and Compliance User Group, run in part by Ruth Campbell. They've got a call for speakers open at the moment. So again, if you are looking to speak at any of these user groups, they've all got sessionized pages open. You can submit your talks and things like that if you do want to get involved and speak at some of these user groups. They're all brilliantly run, fantastic people involved in supporting these user groups, and I'd encourage anybody to get involved. So go and follow Rue at RueCam365. Go and follow M365S and CUG on Twitter and get your session submitted. Finally, my good friend Mert Yetter had another episode of his Mert to the Future on Azure-ish Live last night, talking about Azure SQL Managed Instance. Is it a different SQL server? So go and check that out. Mert always has some fantastic guests on his show talking about certain tech areas. This undoubtedly is no different, talking about Azure SQL Managed Instance. Go and check that out. But for now, that's the community call out for this week. Okie dokie, and we'll jump straight into the wonderful world of the Welsh Azure user group. Yeah, let's do it. And you'll have to forgive me, I've got a really nice bunged up nose, just getting over that bout of the lurgy, But anyhow, just a quick heads up, our next session is on the 20th of April. So just over a week's time, we've got Keith Atherton and Anthony Mashford coming on to give us two fantastic talks. Keith is going to talk to us around Microsoft certifications. Anthony's going to talk to us around deploying enterprise file storage on Azure. Again, two great guys in the community. They've been doing a lot of work over the last months and years, to help us all learn and understand these what can be quite technical and tricky concepts at times. So hopefully we can see you there. Do follow us on Twitter at Welsh Azure. Like and subscribe to all the goings on. Search us down on Meetup as well. So we're on meetup.com. If you search for the Welsh Azure user group, you can sign up RSVP to these events. We would love to have you there. As always, we've got quizzes, prizes, and a bit of community fun with all the sessions that we run every month. So for now, that's the Welsh Azure user group news. And to kind of round off the week, I alluded to it earlier on, I've had a bit of a whirlwind week. So, yeah, lots going on Jonnychipz on the side this week. So let's just jump on in and I can talk you through some of the cool things I've been up to this week. So first up, I managed to get another Schooled-in episode out on Tuesday with the awesome Dwayne Natwick, where it was quite timely actually because I had the SC300 exam booked and I'd done minimal preparation, done a few bits and pieces. But in this video, Dwayne talks me through the identity and access governance part of effectively the SC300 exam, which is all around access packages and access reviews, really keeping that life cycle of access to your end users in check. How can we do that using the Azure platform within Azure AD? And it's a really cool episode because we kind of dig into that in quite a bit of detail and show the power that you can get out of using access packages to manage access to certain resources and groups across your estate, and have them kind of automatically fall into this lifecycle management where people have to basically review on a regular cadence their access requirements, and they obviously get removed if they're no longer required, that sort of stuff. So that was a great episode. It's in the playlist below, in the Schooled In playlist. Go and check that out. Let us know what you thought. And obviously, we talk about Dwayne's book there as well, the SC300 Study Guide, which is out in all good bookshops and, of course, Amazon, if you want to go and get yourself a copy if you're looking to study towards that exam. So, yeah, thanks for that, Dwayne. It was a great episode. Thanks for imparting your knowledge. In other news, last week I had a few audio issues with this episode, unfortunately, so apologies for that, Chris, but it went out. We've got that one out. If you did miss it, it's available in the playlist below. There's a slight echo on the audio there, which was, you do so many of these videos. Every now and again, there's always a bug that comes in and trips you up. So unfortunately, it happened on this episode. But do go and check that out if you can. Great conversation. Chris is a fantastic guy working for Microsoft in the fast track team. It's a great guy to have on and talk around a lot of different elements across Azure, to be honest. So if you did miss it, go and check that out. It's in the playlist below. But it is Friday, so that means we've got another episode of In Conversation With coming out this week, and it's none other than with the wonderful Anthony Mashford. So, yeah, Anthony joined me. We have a really good chat around, again, in lots of different areas, but he's currently working at NetApp. So, he kind of talks about his career progression. How did he get involved in tech? And he's got a really slightly different approach to how he got into his tech career, effectively. Of course, Anthony's a blogger. He's doing a few bits and pieces across community at the moment. And obviously, you can find him on Twitter. That's out tonight, 6:30 BST, 6:30 PM BST. Do go and join us for the fun. And thanks for Anthony for another awesome guest on the show. In other news, last Friday was our first episode of our When Ops Meets Dev live stream. So we're doing this kind of 2 Fridays, the first and third Friday of each month. Really, we're building this cloud native e-commerce solution on Azure. We're architecting it as we go, building it using microservices and containerization, and it's been great fun kind of working with the guys. Robbie and Swami are all over this from a dev perspective. They got some great ideas and great concepts that we're hoping to deploy and kind of do it in a live stream so that we can kind of try and answer any questions and talk around decision points. Why might you want to do one thing over another? And look, it's one of those shows where there's not necessarily right and wrong ways of doing things. Well, there might be if I'm involved, but it's really about that learning experience, understanding how all of these pieces of the jigsaw fit together and how we can kind of, build up to that cloud native solution on the Azure platform. So next episode of that will be next Friday, so a week today. So looking forward to that. It's kicks off at 5 PM BST, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, and 9:30 if you're over in India. So looking forward to that next episode. And it was really good, good fun. Heiko joined us at the session. You can see with the picture that Heiko took, we really discussed this microservices architecture. And we focus primarily on this product's microservice to start with, and how we containerize that up, package that up using Docker. How do we deploy it? How do we run it with a MongoDB? So did we use a MongoDB? No, we didn't use a MongoDB. God, something in my mouth there. But anyway, we use Docker Desktop to kind of show how these can be deployed and put into a production system. So we kind of talked at some great length for a good hour and a half last episode. stay tuned. Like I say, a week Friday, that'll be our next episode. So big shout out to Swarmy and Robbie as well for a great session, and join us. Looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Um, yeah, I just wanted to throw this on the screen here because in conversation with, I've done a couple of shows now with two guests. Just a quick spoiler alert. That's coming soon over the next few weeks. An episode with the Azure Cloud Native User Group team there with April, Carl, Robert, and Richard. That was a really fun chat speaking to those guys. They got a lot to offer, a lot to say, lots of great ideas. It's really about helping us learning and understand what's going on in this wonderful world of cloud native and DevOps. And it was a great fun and great shout out to Carl for kind of pulling this together and helping get this episode recorded. So like I say, that'll be out in the next few weeks with a bit of luck. So really excited to see what everybody thinks of that one. But yeah, it's my first show with 4 guests, so up in the ante a bit now, I think it's fair to say. Moving on, like I've alluded to, it has been a whirlwind of a week for me this week. I don't know whether I was foolish or whether I was just optimistic, but it's gone so far so good. But as you may know, if you follow me, I'm turning my attention for the first half of this year anyway to hybrids. So I've been doing lots of study around hybrid compute, so Azure Arc, hybrid, HCI, Azure Stack Hub, Edge, HCI. All of those technologies that kind of enable us to kind of stay where we need to with on-prem equipment versus using the power of cloud and the capabilities that cloud and the control plane offers us on specifically the Azure platform. So I've been doing lots of learnings, lots of study. I thought it'd be a great idea. I needed to look at booking my AZ600, which is the Azure Stack Hub operator associate level exam. But at the same time, I got inspired by the likes of Dwayne and my previous learnings with some of the other security exams. I thought, well, I'll sit the SC300 exam. And I realised, I really should be sitting the AZ140, which is the AVD exam. It's long overdue. I've done a number of projects with AVD. I just never actually sat down and thought, well, I'll solidify my knowledge and see if I can get that associate level exam. And also the other hybrid exams that came in, which is the AZ800 and 801. I thought, there we go. I'll just book them all in one hit, foolishly. I booked them a little while back, and I've been kind of working towards it, doing some study in some areas and completely missing out some study in other areas. And I've put a bit of a tweet out, a thread, thanking a few people with some great content. But it's paid off. So the first one I got was, I got the AVD, the 140 exam, which was a great exam. To be honest with you, I think it's probably fair to say if you have got some experience deploying and managing and maintaining that environment, and you've got that kind of core Azure admin type knowledge, you probably find this exam relatively easy to jump in with that kind of level of knowledge. If you've deployed this a couple of times with customers or in your own environments, and you've got, like I say, that baseline level knowledge around you know how to find your way around the Azure platform, and you know a lot of those kind of traditional infrastructure and maybe some device management concepts. I was quite surprised. So I did, if I'm being honest, I did very little study towards this exam. I kind of tried to completely base it on my existing knowledge, which is does have holes. I'm not going to say that I'm an expert in every single area of what AVD has to offer. But I found that the questions, you were able to kind of, like I say, if you've got some of that, I wouldn't specifically say it would be a high level of knowledge that you need, but if you've got that generalist awareness of things that go on around in and around Azure, and I think you need to have deployed AVD at least a few times, even if it's in sandbox and test environments. Which, look, there's some great guys, there's some great Microsoft Docs and Learn articles on how to do that. If you've managed to successfully work your way through that a few times, I don't think there's many questions in there that are going to really trip you up. So a colleague of mine mentioned that to me before I sat. He said, John, you probably just... And I was pleasantly surprised. It was a nice exam to take. There were no, what I felt, questions in there that could trip you up. You know what I mean? They were all the questions I found you could logically work your way through and deduce the answer from that. So I did score quite well in that exam, which I was surprised with, which is why I guess I'm saying this now, because As much as I've deployed it a few times and I've got that kind of level knowledge across Azure, normally, from my experience, Microsoft exams can be a little bit cutthroat to a certain extent, where they give you some of these questions where, ooh, could that be right? That could be right. And you've really got to know that level of detail to which answer is the correct answer for that particular question. I didn't get that from this exam, which was great, because I prefer the exams to be a little bit more to the point and not wishy-washy, because we know in the real world, if there's ever a point where you're not too sure, you're not going to sit and guess. You're going to go find out before you deploy. So that's one of my little bugbears with exams, why questions sometimes have to be, so yeah, I get we have to test the level of knowledge, but equally sometimes that knowledge isn't stored in your brain 100% of the time, especially if you don't deal with it on a daily basis. So that was a great exam. Anyway, bottom line, it was a great exam. So if you're thinking about going and sitting it, get it booked now and sit it, you might pleasantly surprise yourself. This was the one that I did the most study towards. And saying that, I worked through a lot of Thomas Maurer's links that he put together on his study guide, which contains a lot of Microsoft Docs and a lot of Learn modules. I sat through worked my way through the vast majority of the Microsoft Learn modules. There are a lot on the Azure Stack Hub operator, and I must be honest, this was a tricky exam, primarily I think because I don't have any kit to get hands-on with. And yes, you can set up a developer environment, but you need some physical kit, some hefty physical kit. There are some minimum specs, which I don't have lying around the office here. And of course, you can't really set it up in a virtual environment. I'm sure there probably are articles talking you through how to set it up, but I couldn't find anything. So kind of had to do the prep for this exam purely based on theory and purely based on trying to understand the different components and different things. So going through the skills measured, making sure I had a picture of what each area actually meant without actually having done it myself, which was, it's always difficult doing exams that way. I find, I'm very much one of those learners that you learn more by doing it and rather than reading. Although, I am happy to read about things and some of that sticks in my mind, but anyway, I was pleasantly surprised. I managed to just get a pass on that. So I think it was in the 700s, my score, which I'm not going to sniff at. It was a tricky exam. There certainly were questions in there that either I flat out didn't have a clue what they were trying to get to, or I wasn't too sure of the PowerShell syntax for a particular command. So one command over another, they looked very similar. So some of it was a little bit of it could be either. But like I say, that's one of my bugbears with exams, is that in the real world, you'd run a command and see that you got the wrong one, so you'd run the other one, and it's that thing. So I guess, depending on your views and certs, is it showing that you've got knowledge, or is it showing that you've got experience? It's probably showing that you've got the knowledge, not necessarily the experience. But of course, I think normally my way with things like this in exams is that I prefer to have the experience. So, that's where you're adding your own value on things, I think. That's my own perspective on things. But anyway, managed to get that Azure Stack Hub operator. Really chuffed I've got it. Moving through so I've done a bit with Azure Stack Edge now. Hub operator, purely theoretical. Want to get involved a little bit more with HCI, because I know potentially we're going to be doing a bit of that within my working environment. So yeah, just kudos to the likes of Thomas Maurer for putting out all the great learning modules, the content and study guides, so helping people like me get through that. So yes. And finally, SC300. This exam, I looked at the skills measured and I thought, well, I've been fortunate enough to, over the last few years, sit a few of the security-centric exams, such as the AZ500, the MS500. I'd done the security fundamentals, the SC900, and I'd also done the Microsoft 365 Enterprise Admin exams, the MS 100 and 101 exams, a little while back, and plus I've got a relatively decent amount of experience working with 365 products. So when I looked at the skills measured, there was a lot that kind of overlapped with those previous exams that I'd sat, and of course kind of played into a landscape of knowledge that I felt I was relatively confident with. I wouldn't say it's like anything when you're sitting in an exam. You've always got those doubts, and absolutely you'll always have holes that you might need to gem up on or swat a little bit more on. So I purely took a punt and booked this exam in around about the same time. I thought, well, it's a lot of overlap. I'll see where my gaps are. And again, pleasantly surprised. Great exam. Really enjoyed the questions on this exam. Managed to get through and score quite well. Had a pretty decent result on this. And yeah, I was right. There was a lot of overlap with the other security exams, although this, if you like, is a consolidated security exam covering that wide range of Azure and 365 to a certain extent. Things like Defender and endpoint management and Sentinel. There were lots of questions, but this was really around the identity and access. So back to Dwayne's schooled in session he did with me last week. Very timely questions around access packages and access reviews and what they mean and how you configure and things like that. So anyhow, really chuffed that I managed to get that one passed as well. And the other one, just to finish off, is I sat this the week before, but I thought I'd call it out because I'm actually due to sit the 801 in about an hour and a half's time from now, which would have been this morning because I record this in the morning. Anyhow, I'm not holding out much confidence on the 801. I've done no prep for it. AZ800, when I looked at the skills measured, it was pretty much that traditional legacy Windows Server on-premise domain infrastructure kind of exams where they've been missing for a while. I think lots of Microsoft exams have very, very much been cloud focused through and through. They kind of forgotten about the fact that they've got a lot of on-prem equipment, things like Windows Server and Hyper-V and domain controllers and DNS servers and DHCP. There was a lot of that missing, and I know Orin Thomas had been advocating for getting these exams brought into the curriculum with Microsoft, and kudos, because it's great to see. So in the past, this used to be the old MCSA kind of track, where you'd specialize or do some training and study around a particular server version. And this exam was no different. So in my mind, this exam was picking up those traditional Windows Server elements. And you can see this is the Windows Server hybrid core infrastructure. So again, did very little prep, and I completely based it on I've got a lot of experience, thankfully, in the industry working in this area. And I thought, well, I've not actually had to flex those muscles, certainly a huge amount, certainly what it was sort of 5-6 years ago. Not necessarily had to flex those muscles quite so much lately with working with cloud technologies, but the knowledge, I would hope, is still in my mind somewhere. And so I managed to sit this exam with very little prep other than a quick skim read of the skills measured. And again, there were small elements of gaps. So I thought, well, I'll just wing it a little bit, see if I can get through it. And yeah, pleasantly surprised. Great exam, great questions. Really were some questions where had me thinking, way back when. And yeah, pleasantly surprised. Like I say, managed to get the pass on the 800. Now, to get the associate level, you need to sit the 801 as well. So there's an associate level badge you can earn on Windows Server Hybrids. I forget what the badge is called now. But anyway, 801 is all about, I believe, the Azure side and the hybrid management side of things, which, again, I've got small elements, I guess. Well, I don't know. I guess a lot of it I've probably got some good experience in. But anyhow, you can probably tell I'm not overly confident about getting that exam today. But obviously, if I get a fail today, it's not the end of the world. I failed a number of exams. If anybody tells you any different, they've probably either got the mind of a photographer. I don't know. But yeah, it's cool to fail exams. It's not the end of the world. Only if you're paying for them yourself, of course. So I'm quite fortunate that my company that I work for is part of the Enterprise Skills Initiative, so I don't have to pay for any of these exams, which is great for me. I appreciate lots of people aren't in that position. But go and ask a company. If you're looking to sit exams, go and ask a company. If you're a Microsoft partner, I would presume that there's some kind of an ESI thing that's going on with lots of these businesses. Anyhow, like I say, it's been a whirlwind of a week this week. 3 exams, my 4th one today, an exam last week. I did some catch-ups, recertifications. I did my AZ700, recerted that for another year with the online questions. So it's been quite a fun, educational week, I guess. So finally this week, thank you. I hit 4,000 followers on Twitter, which was really surprising. I think I spotted it literally as it went over to 4,000. I thought, wow, that was a coincidence. So huge thanks to anybody that's following me. Really is appreciated. Hopefully I put stuff out there that you kind of follow along with, or at least get involved with, and inspire people to go on and have a look at bits and pieces, and obviously call out all the fantastic stuff that's going on in the Cloud Family community as well. So on that note, that's Jonnychipz on the side for this week. Let's jump on back over to my big face. Yeah, so there we go. So it gives me nothing more to do than click onto my buttons here, and we shall go over and do our Azure news and updates for the week. Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Hello, 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 hello. 1, 2, testing. Yes, I'm here. Just had to get my mic in shot there now. I got to rearrange my little thing, so I'm getting cut off there with the old green screen. But anyway, hi. Welcome to the Azure news and update section of the show this week. Bumper show. We're up to 36 minutes already, and we haven't done the news yet, so lots going on. But and I've got to get off and prep for another exam, of course. Anyhow, let's jump straight on. We've had a fair few updates this week, so we're going to start off with some public preview announcements. So Azure Bastion support for Kerberos Authentication, which is pretty cool. So it's going to be available with both basic and standard SKUs. It's in public preview, so you can get that set up and you can use Kerberos to authenticate to your VMs inside Azure. So there's an overview document there if you're interested, and looking how you can get Bastion configured for that as well. So go and check that out if that is of interest to you. Generally available, Apache Spark 3.1.2 is in Azure HD Insights. Apache Kafka 2.4 is in Azure HD Insights. And another public preview, ARM64 based VMs can deliver up to 50% better price performance. So yeah, it's been in talk for a little while around about ARM64 chip VMs, really about their processing speed and low energy use, I think, is from my layman's understanding. So there's a bit of detail there about what servers. There we go. General purpose DPS version 5. And they can run various Linux enterprise workloads. So go and check that out. That's in public preview. Generally available, support for copying tiles has been added to IoT Central. So you can now, if you've got a dashboard with tiles on, you've got this copy functionality on there, which is cool. Generally available, Azure Data Explorer inline script deployment with an ARM template. So it's now easier than ever to build an entire Data Explorer environment with a single tool, an ARM template. So with the ARM template, you can deploy schema entities, tables, functions, policies without the usage of an external storage account. So go and check that out if that's of interest. More public preview, Azure Virtual Machines are available. These particular types, DS, SV3, are available in Switzerland and West US. And Azure Virtual Machines increase storage throughput by up to 300%. And I think that is, yeah, it's the new memory optimized EBS version 5 VMs. They include the latest 3rd gen Intel Xeon Platinum 8370C Ice Lake processor in a hyper-threaded configuration. Ice Lake. I thought I liked the term of the AMD Threadripper. I thought I liked that name, but I don't know. I think I might like Ice Lake better. But anyway, they're available and increased throughput by apparently up to 300%. Go and check that out. Public preview, capacity reservation support is in AKS now as well. Cool. More public preview, Azure Backup supports metrics and metric alerts for Azure Blobs. So, okay, yeah, cool. I just read that note there, and I just read it in my head rather than out loud. But yeah, go and check that out. Generally available, support for private link is now in IoT Central. So I know that the Microsoft teams are looking to bring things like private link, across the plethora of features and functionality within Azure. That ability to access that particular pass element or service in Azure over a private IP address that you can include in your own SD-WAN or your own VNet configuration and access it over things like site-to-site VPNs or express routes, rather than traditionally over a public endpoint across the internet. So great to see. Generally available Azure Storage Table Access using Azure Active Directory. Cool. And GA Azure Data Explorer supports Azure Private Endpoints. So there we go. ADE now supports private endpoints as well. Azure Backup now supports a Vault Archive tier for Azure VMs. So you can now retain your backups for a longer duration in a cost-effective manner by using Azure Backup Vault Archive tier for your Azure VMs, SQL Server, Azure Virtual Machines, SQL Server and Azure Virtual Machines, and SAP HANA in Azure Virtual Machines. That's a lot of times that Azure Virtual Machines has been written out there. So you can move your long-term retention points to the low-cost Vault Archive tier and perform restores from Vault Archive tier using a simplified integration approach. Okay, cool and the gang. Next up, GA diagnostic audit logs for automation accounts are now available. And finally, there's an update, Azure AD Graph retirement date. So if you are using the Azure AD Graph, it's not going to retire on the 30th of June, as per the announcement below. Microsoft are extending the retirement date, and a follow-up announcement will be published before the end of this year, before the 31st of December. So, yeah, not sure the reasoning behind that. Doesn't really say anything on this article, but good news, I guess, if you are in that position. I presume that's because they've got a lot of customers that maybe still are using Azure AD Graph, and these timescales were looking a bit pressing to get that change. But there we go. Anyhow, thanks for tuning in this week. That has been your Azure news and updates for the week. Let's head back on over. Okie dokie, that's the show for this week. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Please do like and subscribe to the channel. If this has been of interest to you, drop us a comment below if you can, or reach out. If there's anything you think I should be getting involved with, please do reach out. I'm all ears. But for now, I've been John Ludd. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. See you soon.